Okay, so you know how much everyone always talks about how disruptive kids are these days, right? This is like a
Mhm.
constant thing. And it really makes you wonder, like, how much more could our students achieve
Right.
if they weren't, constantly dealing with these distractions in the classroom?
Yeah.
So I was looking at this national survey, and it actually said that 76% of teachers
Wow.
believe that they could do a better job educating
Mm-hmm.
if discipline problems weren't such a big obstacle.
Yeah, 76%.
Yeah.
That's a huge chunk.
Yeah, I know. So if you're listening and you're, also interested in like evidence-based
Totally.
approaches to improving how kids learn,
Yeah,
I think this episode is going to be right up your alley.
for sure. So today we're going to be looking at school-wide PBS
Okay.
or positive behavior support. And the key thing to know is that it's not about like reacting to problems when they happen.
Yeah.
It's about preventing them from happening in the first place.
Okay.
So being proactive. And we're going to be basing our deep dive today on this really cool article
Okay.
from Educational Psychology Review, and it came out in 2006.
Okay.
And it like really comprehensively goes through all the core principles of PBS and how to implement it and, the research that backs it up.
So it's like instead of waiting for something bad to happen,
Right.
it's like setting the stage for success from the get-go.
Exactly.
And it's interesting because this isn't just like a feel-good kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's actually based on like real science, right?
100%. So it has a few key integrated elements.
Okay.
It's based on behavioral science.
Okay.
Like our understanding of why people behave the way they do and how to, positively influence that.
Okay.
It's centered around getting good outcomes. Like
Right.
what positive changes are we trying to make?
Yeah.
It emphasizes using like practical and evidence-based procedures, so
Right.
stuff that's actually been proven to work. And it takes a systems perspective, meaning that it looks at like the whole school, not just individuals or classrooms.
Got it. So it's like a holistic kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. I was reading in the article that PBS actually started being used in a completely different context.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was originally developed to support individuals with developmental disabilities
Oh, wow.
who were exhibiting challenging behaviors.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's like they were looking for better ways to support these individuals
Yeah,
than just punishing them.
right. That's really interesting because, it brings up a really good point, which is that
Mhm.
the early development of PBS really focused on finding these person-centered alternatives to like, the traditional aversive interventions,
Yeah.
which basically means punishment.
Right.
And it was all about like truly understanding each individual's needs
Okay.
and proactively, trying to build up these positive behaviors. And so, some of the things that they emphasized were getting everybody involved
Okay.
in the process, a really big focus on preventing problem behaviors before they even start.
So proactive again?
Exactly, proactive.
Okay.
Using applied science in like real life settings and constantly checking to see if the interventions were working.
So it's like they were trying to set them up for success
Yeah.
in a really personalized way.
Exactly.
So it sounds like they took those early successes with individuals and then said, okay, how do we scale this up
Right.
to a whole school?
Yeah, exactly. And when you look at how they applied it school-wide,
Okay.
there are like these key characteristics that really stand out.
Like what?
Well, one is getting everybody on board,
Okay.
like really maximizing stakeholder participation.
The teachers, administrators, parents, the whole 9 yards.
Everyone needs to be involved.
Got it.
And it stresses that the main goal is prevention.
Okay.
And we should always be using strategies that research has shown to be effective.
But evidence-based.
Exactly. And that we always need to be assessing, like, is this working?
Okay.
And making adjustments.
So that constant feedback loop.
Yes. Always adapting.
Got it. So we've talked about the big picture principles, but what about the nitty-gritty?
Yeah.
Like, how does a school actually implement PBS day to day?
Right. So there are 5 core components.
Okay, let's hear them.
Okay. The first is establishing a team.
Okay.
And this isn't just like a few people in the main office making all the decisions.
Right.
This needs to be a diverse group
Okay.
with teachers, administrators, parents, maybe even counselors or support staff.
Okay.
And this team is responsible for the whole process from planning
Right.
to evaluating whether it's working.
Okay.
So they're making sure that everyone's voice is heard
It makes sense to have all those different perspectives from the beginning.
Exactly.
So what's the next step?
So the second component is defining clear behavioral expectations for the entire school.
Okay.
But these aren't like a long list of rules.
Right.
It's more about having maybe 3 to 5 overarching rules that are positive
Okay.
and can be observed.
Oh.
So like the article gives some good examples, like respect yourself, respect others, and respect property.
Okay.
Or be respectful, be cooperative, be safe, be kind, and be peaceful.
Yeah, I like that. They're all framed positively.
Right. It's not about what you can't do. It's about what you should be doing.
Right. So the school comes up with these expectations. They put up some posters and call it a day, right?
Not quite.
Okay.
The third component is actually teaching these expectations to the students.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, this isn't just like a one-time assembly or a quick mention in the handbook.
Right.
This needs to be taught directly, just like any other important skill.
So the teachers are really demonstrating and modeling
Exactly.
what these expectations look like in different situations.
Yeah, in the classroom, in the hallways, on the playground, at lunch.
Yeah.
And they give them chances to practice through like role-playing and real-life scenarios.
Okay, so it's like they're equipping the students with the knowledge and the actual skills
Exactly.
to meet these expectations.
Right.
So then what happens once a kid is meeting the expectations? How do you reinforce that?
Right. That's the fourth component,
Yeah.
reinforcing appropriate behaviors. And this
Yeah.
involves like acknowledging and rewarding students
Okay.
when they're doing what's expected of them.
Okay.
So this could be as simple as like giving them specific praise
Right.
or acknowledging them in front of the class or, privately.
Mm.
A lot of schools use like token systems like gotcha coupons.
I've heard of those.
Yeah, the students earn them for doing good things and then they can trade them in for prizes or privileges.
It's like a little reward system.
Yeah, and one thing that the article points out is that even when you're using those tangible rewards, the most powerful kind of reinforcement
Okay.
often comes from social acknowledgement. Like when you specifically praise a student
Right.
and connect it to the behavior you want to see more of.
Right. So not just like, good job, but good job doing X.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I noticed how you respectfully waited your turn to speak. Great job.
Yeah. So they know exactly what they did well.
Exactly.
Okay. So what's the last piece of the puzzle?
The fifth component is using data
Okay.
to make decisions.
So data-driven decision making.
Yeah.
Hmm.
This means that it's not enough to just put the PBS components in place.
Right.
You have to keep track of how it's working.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So schools typically look at things like office discipline referrals,
Oh,
like
yeah.
who's getting sent to the office, what they're being sent for,
Hmm.
where and when these incidents are happening most.
Okay.
So by analyzing this data, they can see what's working well, what needs to be tweaked,
Yeah.
and they can make informed decisions about how to intervene.
So it's all about that continuous improvement.
Exactly.
I'm curious about this case example in the article,
Oh, yeah.
about this urban middle school that implemented PBS. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this was an inner city school
Okay.
with high levels of poverty and crime in the surrounding area.
Wow.
And they just didn't have a lot of resources available for the students or the staff. And the
Right.
students came from all different backgrounds.
Okay.
And before they implemented PCS,
Yeah.
their rates of office discipline referrals were really high.
Like how high?
42% of students had 5 or more referrals.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, and 81% had at least one.
That's almost everybody.
I know.
Yeah.
So clearly they needed a more supportive and structured environment.
Right. So how did they even start implementing PBS with all of these challenges?
Well, the researchers spent a lot of time building relationships with the staff
Okay.
because, the teachers were already overwhelmed.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So they were probably a little hesitant to take on something new.
Totally. So they had to really build that trust.
Exactly. They participated in school activities,
Okay.
met with teachers one-on-one, even helped out with some of the students.
So they were really showing their commitment.
Yeah, and it was crucial for their long-term success.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if the staff doesn't buy in,
Mm.
it's not going to work. So what happened once they had that foundation of trust?
They all worked together to create a set of positive behavioral expectations,
Okay.
which they called steps to success.
I like that.
Yeah, and they were be responsible, be respectful, be ready to learn, be cooperative, and be safe.
Okay. Simple and straightforward.
Yeah, and then all the staff members received training
Oh.
on PBS and how to teach the steps to success to their students.
Good.
And they even created lesson plans and activities to help the teachers out.
Wow. So they were really given the tools they needed.
Yeah.
So then the students were taught the steps to success.
Right.
And they had opportunities to practice, and they were modeled for them.
Exactly.
And what about those positive behavior referrals? Did they use those?
Yes, they did. So any staff member could give a student a ticket if they saw them demonstrating one of the steps to success, and then the students could trade in those tickets for prizes.
Okay.
And in that first year, they handed out over 4,000 tickets.
Wow. That's a lot of positive reinforcement.
It is. And it seems like it had a real impact.
Like what kind of impact?
Well, they saw big decreases in office discipline referrals, in-school conferences, timeouts, in-school suspensions, and short-term suspensions. Short-term suspensions went down by 57%.
That's a huge reduction.
Yeah, it is. But interestingly, the number of out-of-school placements stayed about the same.
Interesting. So they were finding ways to handle things within the school instead of resorting to those more extreme measures.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the numbers.
Yeah.
Teachers and administrators were saying that the school climate had improved and that teachers were responding to students differently.
So it was like a cultural shift.
Yeah, they felt more equipped to handle minor issues.
Okay.
And there was a sense of shared responsibility for creating a positive environment.
That's awesome.
Yeah, even parents were more satisfied with the support their kids were receiving.
Wow. So it sounds like it was a real success.
It does. But the article does mention that there was a setback in year 3.
Oh, no. What happened?
Well, a couple things happened. They introduced a new zero tolerance policy, which basically meant that kids were getting punished more, even for minor things like not wearing the right uniform. And at the same time, they weren't teaching the steps to success as consistently.
So the foundation was starting to crumble.
Yeah, and they weren't using those positive behavior referrals as much.
Oh, so they were kind of drifting away from those core components of PBS.
Exact.
So did they ever recover from that setback?
Well, they did keep collecting data.
Okay.
And that data actually showed them the negative impact of those new policies.
So the data was really helpful in showing them where they were going wrong.
Yeah, and towards the end of year 3, they started making changes.
Good. So they were able to course correct.
Yeah, and the article points out that the decrease in discipline wasn't because they were just kicking out all the bad kids.
Right.
The overall number of suspensions actually went down.
Okay.
So it seemed like teachers were actually getting better at managing behavior.
Interesting. So they were learning new strategies.
Yeah.
So what were some of the big takeaways from this case study?
Well, one of the biggest was the importance of building that trust.
Right.
And really understanding the school's unique challenges.
Yeah, because one size doesn't fit all.
Right. And they also learned that PBS can work in urban high-need schools because most of the research had been done in, like, suburban schools.
So this was a really important finding.
It was. And they also learned some things about how to train staff effectively.
Like what?
Like using engaging examples, using language that teachers can relate to.
Right. Not too much jargon.
Yeah, focusing on what the school is already doing well and addressing the specific needs of the staff.
So really tailoring the training.
Yes.
One thing I thought was interesting was the data on those positive behavior tickets. Remember how they gave out over 4,000 in the first year? Yeah. Well, it turned out that a small group of staff was giving out most of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it seems like not all staff members were equally on board with that part of the system.
Interesting. So maybe some of them needed more training.
Yeah. Or maybe they needed more encouragement to use the tickets.
Yeah, it shows that implementation is an ongoing process.
Right. It's not just like flip a switch and you're done.
Exactly.
And of course, this was just one case study.
Right.
So the researchers acknowledged that it had some limitations. Like what?
Well, for one thing, they didn't have a comparison school that didn't use PBS.
Right.
And they also relied on disciplinary outcomes to measure success, which can be tricky because, you know, those outcomes can be influenced by things like teacher perceptions.
Right, so maybe teachers were just less likely to send kids to the office.
Right. But the important thing is that the people in the school really believed that PBS was the reason for the improvements.
Okay, so they saw a real change.
Yeah.
So what about the future of PBS? What does the article say about that?
Well, one thing they point out is that we need more research on how PBS works in high schools.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because most of the research so far has been in elementary and middle schools.
So high school is kind of uncharted territory.
Yeah, and they also say that we need to create better connections between schools that are using PBS and, like, the larger systems.
Like what?
Like the district administration, the state education agencies, community organizations.
Getting everyone on the same page.
Exactly.
And what else?
One more thing. We need more research on the link between PBS and academic achievement.
Okay.
Because right now, we kind of assume that better behavior leads to better grades.
Right.
But we need more hard evidence
Okay.
to really justify putting resources into PBS.
Right. So it's not just about reducing disruptions, but actually improving learning.
Exactly.
So there's some people who criticize PBS.
Right.
But the article says that those criticisms are mostly about comparing it.
Yeah. To other behavioral interventions.
Okay.
Not about the core principles of PBS itself.
So they're not saying that PBS is a bad idea.
Right.
Okay, so to recap for our listeners,
Okay.
what are the key takeaways from our deep dive into school-wide PBS?
I think the most important thing to remember is that it's about creating a positive and predictable environment by being proactive and structured.
Okay.
So you clearly define what's expected of students.
Okay.
You teach them those expectations. You reward them when they meet those expectations. And you use data to make sure it's all working.
Data-driven.
Exactly. And it's a team effort.
Everyone needs to be on board.
Everyone, students, teachers, administrators, parents.
So it's not just about reacting to bad behavior.
Right.
It's about creating a culture of positive behavior.
Exactly.
So for you, the learner out there, hopefully this deep dive has given you a good understanding of this potentially really impactful educational strategy. You've heard about the research, the practical steps, and the real-world results.
For sure.
And now we want to leave you with a question to ponder.
Okay.
We've seen that PBS can have a positive impact on school, climate, and discipline.
Right.
So what do you think are the biggest barriers to making this the norm in all schools?
That's a good question.
And what creative solutions can we come up with to overcome those barriers so that every student can learn in a supportive and effective environment?
Yeah, that's something worth thinking about.
Definitely.
And maybe even researching in your own community.
Absolutely.
You know, see what's going on in your local schools.
Yeah.
And see if there are ways to get involved.
Yeah, that's a great call to action.
Thanks.
Well, that's it for today's deep dive. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.